Okay, it's time. Anyway, it's Dr. Gail Randall, and it's 6 p.m., and it's my Instagram live time. I'm the author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet, and the host of Soul Stories. And tonight we're going to do a deep dive into how did Soul Stories come about? How was it born? What happened? What made me think of it? And what are some of the shows that we've done, and a little bit about those. So that's what we're going to do. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So Soul Stories is a podcast, and it's audio primarily, but it's scored like a movie. So it's like no other podcast out there. It's fantastic. It's really based on, because of soul doctoring, and because of my belief in the cosmic consciousness and feeling like we all need to unite in this sacred space where we can change the planet together. Soul Stories came about through that intention, and it just came to me like a light. And a lot of people ask me, well, why did you create that podcast? And I feel it's a little bit like the guy that, the head of Greenpeace at the time, when they asked him, how can you ram those whaling boats? And he said, how can I not? Or when they asked Picasso, why did you paint the Blue Lady? And he said, I had to. You know, it's like the inspiration from your soul. It's an artist, you know, when they're doing a piece, they know what I'm talking about here. You can't not do it. You have to do it. It's like fulfilling a vision. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. For those of you that have not watched the podcast or tuned into it, it's on all major podcast stations: Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprouts, every place. And if you just go on your favorite podcast station, you can find it. I want to show you the visual because I think it's super cool. Can you see that? It's supposed to be me. Well, it is me because I posed with a beach ball to get that image. And I visualized stars all around me. And of course, heal yourself, heal the planet. I'm very much into the planet and healing the planet, as you that follow me know. And if you've watched any of my recent podcasts, you've heard me talk about planetary health and what we can do about it and so forth. So anyway, I'm going to play this for you, I hope. Author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. Let me start over. Figured it'd be a few start overs. Dr. Randall, the Soul Doctor, author of Soul Doctoring. One more time. 40 years of experience as a cross-cultural practitioner, medical. Dr. Randall, the Soul Doctor, author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet, shares her 40 years of experience as a cross-cultural practitioner, medical futurist, and expert in 20 different modalities of healing, along with amazing interviews with some of the leading minds in medicine and big thinkers in all walks of life. The stories of our lives are the woven energies of our soul's paths. They feed and ignite the spiritual light that nourishes the universal soul, the one mind, the cosmic consciousness where we all come together. This podcast is going to be a deep dive into the personal stories of people who have made significant contributions to the planet. What formed them? What moved them to become these leaders and innovators that inspire us so? Dr. Randall. So that says it. Basically, it came to me that if I had people that had done something or are doing something that changed the energy on the planet, or done something so unique that inspires a lot of people, it would bring us all together in that cosmic consciousness place. And that would perpetuate my message and what I believe to be the action, the call to action that we all need to do, that we all can do, no matter our color, our creed, our gender, our age. If we all come together in that space of having a common intention to save the planet in a beneficial way, eat better. That's a good way. That's a good first start. I've been talking about that a lot lately. Make good choices. Eat organic food. Eat regeneratively farmed beef that actually heals the earth. And these are things we can do right now. And we don't have to go through bureaucracy. We don't have to go through petitions. We don't have to do anything. We can start right now and do these things. So that's what this show is about, and that's what I want to share with you guys. So the way that it actually first came to me was a man named Richard Bradstone invited me to be on his podcast. And his podcast is called Ghost Stories. And you can find that on any podcast station as well. And during the process of being on his podcast, we became immediate, very close friends. And I think before the podcast ended even, or at least very after it, when we were talking after the show, I think we talked for 2 hours. Of course, his podcast is nowhere that long, but you should watch it. It's called Caduceus. And the reason he named it Caduceus is because I told the story in his podcast of the caduceus, how the caduceus, which is the winged staff of Mercury, has a spiral of snakes. At the top are wings. And what it symbolizes is bringing the divine energy from God back into the patient for their healing. And it was always a very impressive thing to me that my own organization called the American Medical Association used the caduceus as their symbol, but it only had one snake. And what I found out through my own path and studying and observation and being with indigenous peoples before I went into medical school was what was missing and in Western medicine was spirit. And so it was lacking the holistic perspective that one needed to truly heal. And I'm not knocking Western medicine because I love it. It saves lives. I'm all for it. But I'm also for the integration. I'm an integrative practitioner, as you guys know. And that's where the power really is where we use different kinds of medicine together. Then it's just like us as a people uniting together. So I was on Richard, and then he went on to be my teacher, in a way. I said, okay, tell me what I need to do a podcast, because I have this great idea, and I want to have people on my podcast that are doing something different that no one else has done before or have made a difference on the planet. He goes, that's a really good idea, Marlene. This is what you need. And so he told me what amazing microphone to get, and I got a Rode microphone, which is amazing. It's like the best you can get. I got the ear pieces, and there's Sony. And then I can't pick it up, but I got it's called a Scarlet, because it's scarlet color, that it's really what makes your sound balance. It hooks into your computer, and if you get the right software with those 3 pieces and the right software, you've got a sound studio. You've got it together, and you can do your podcast. So it's pretty cool once you learn the technology. Okay, so I have a little piece of the caduceus that I did with Richard Bradstone.
We talked of our pasts, of our reasons for doing what we do, and to that point, even shared a few hidden secrets within our own closets. All the while, her listening eyes hearing beyond the noise of first impression. To her, the ups and downs of life are key to finding purpose, and overshadowing her decades of well-earned medical qualifications beat the rhythm of the spirit child that drives her. Born into this world 1.5 months premature, her less than 4-pound frame fought for life. And with an astonishing remembrance of the infant pain she bore, she so boldly credits those fetal moments as the genesis to the spiritual connection she so purely radiates.
Something that we can all do is put our intention and our spirit and our mind and our hearts in the same positive direction. It doesn't have to have exactly the same qualifiers. Everybody's going to be a little different. But if it's positive, it's going to come together. It's called collective consciousness. It's ancient. This is not a new concept. But what is more new, I guess, about it is it's a pressing time. It's time. It's truly time that we come together because we can benefit our planet and ourselves and humanity in the highest way by doing so. It doesn't matter what religion we are, what color we are, what race we are, what gender we are. We're human, and we were given the authority to be the guardians of this planet. And it's simply by pointing our arrows in a sacred direction, if you will. That's the symbology I use for it. It's one mind, one God.
Beautiful. So, well said, Dr. Randall. So, maybe you've heard me say that before, maybe you haven't, but now you've heard me say it twice. So, by saying that on his show, I had never heard that being said before, and since I've said that, I've heard it again. So that's cosmic consciousness in action. So it makes me happy to hear that from other people as well. So thank you, Richard. And then, of course, I've been working with Close to the Earth, who are my IT people, and Conchetta has been helping me with my podcast as well. She helped me set it up and coached me through the technology, so thank you, Conchetta, for that. So, going along, our first podcast was with Emran Meyer. Emran Meyer is Professor Emeritus, or actually better than that, Distinguished Professor from UCLA. He's the author of the Mind-Gut Connection. He wrote the foreword to my book for me, and when he first read my book, he said, Gail, he calls me Gail because I go by Gail professionally. He said, I think you're more of a writer than a doctor. That was a great compliment from him because we had reunited after several decades. We worked at UCLA together on integrative medicine landmark projects when I was there. I went out and fought for integrative medicine on the front lines. He stayed and fought for it within academia. And amazingly enough, we both ended up in the same place. We both went and spent time with indigenous peoples. We brought this special knowledge with us into the medical institution, and it gave us a different perspective. And then we ended up working together again. So it's pretty fabulous, pretty fabulous. So Emran, who is now my friend again. Not that he ever wasn't, but we weren't really in touch. And after doing this show, of course, we are. And he is very concerned with the planet as well, like I am, and connectedness. Hear this snippet from Emran's show, Emran's Soul Story show. It was podcast number 1.
But so the question is, even if you look at the pandemic situation, I mean, how difficult it is to convince everybody to be in the same boat, and so now imagine something as climate change, which is even more controversial for a lot of people. for many of the same people, actually, you know, that can't accept the guidelines for the pandemic, to fight the pandemic. So sometimes I'm a pessimist to say, you know, humans just are not able to, and there's too many issues connected to it. It's, you know, we could fix climate change fairly easily in the West, but then to tell this to countries like India, who is, you know, struggling for survival and have enough food on the table from day to day, this is a harder job. And, you know, the West will obviously have to help them in a big way. So sometimes I'm a pessimist and say that this is a lost battle already. You know, we're not meeting any of these timelines that we've set ourselves, or the limits, and it's moving. It's like turning a huge aircraft carrier around. You know, it's so slow that it may be too slow to avoid a collision with an iceberg or something. But then in other times, you know, you see this outpouring of energy from mainly the younger generation. And that's really my only hope. I think, you know, our generation will not solve it. I mean, we can help transmit the message and I mean, maybe they don't even need us, you know, when you see some of these movements by these environmental movements in Europe, and also these youth movements in the US. I mean, it's a huge potential. I'm being asked that question many times when I give a talk. There was one at this Grinnell College in Iowa at the end asked me, so what can we do to avoid this, you know, and I said, well, it's up to you guys, to you students. You know, it's we sort of, our generation messed it up, but you certainly have the potential to do it. So I think changing consciousness, I mean, without that, it's not gonna work. You have to believe, and passionately believe, that, you know, it's now, I don't think it's 5 minutes to 12. I think it's about 10 minutes to 12. And if we create the passion amongst, you know, people, both, you know, some industry leaders. I mean, we interviewed some of these people. I mean, there are some people actually realizing it and doing things. I always mentioned the founder and owner of Patagonia, Yvonne Chouinard, who is a leader in this way, to really push for, you know, slowing climate change. And but he gives the same answer when you talk to him. Is that on the one side I'm a pessimist and I think it's too late. On the other hand, what I do is based on my optimism. There is a chance that we can turn this around. So I would say, and there has been progress. I mean, there has been, you know, integrative medicine has become respectable. And I think once you believe in integrative medicine, you believe in the paradigm of interconnectedness.
I agree with him, but I must say I am more of an optimist. And I say it doesn't matter how old you are, you can participate in this, and anybody can participate in the cosmic consciousness. You just have to point your sacred arrow in the right direction and believe. You know, you can do that right now. You can do that right now. You don't need to it's not an age thing, you know, so it doesn't matter your age or all those other things I mentioned before. We can all do this together, and it has been shown, and I included this in my book, that if we do this and we come together in like mind and have this positive intention, it can be measured. It can be measured from satellites. It increases the magnetic field of the planet in a good way, and we can change the electromagnetics of the whole planet if we come together, if we unite together. So let's do that. I mean, there's a lot of other things we can do. Like I mentioned, we can eat organic food, which is going to help the earth. We can eat regeneratively farmed beef, which is going to restore the planet. A lot of things. But the intention is the main thing. Okay? So the second podcast person I had on was the famed Danielle Delaney, who is a famous Black leader and interventionalist, both for sexual abuse, rape, and also for addiction. She herself was perpetrated upon years ago, and that was her inspiration. She now, I think, is the youngest owner of a quite extensive interventional business. She's an amazing woman, and I'll just play you a little snippet of her.
So, obviously, I was at a party. This was in my party days, and I was intoxicated, which does not give anyone the right to hurt you. I'm constantly telling clients it's not what you drank, it's not what you wore. It's the choice of a perpetrator to take away yours, to take away your choice. There's no blame or shame in that. It's just what happened. And they threw me from the moving car, going about 55, according to the police and all of the information they put together. And I was beaten horribly beyond recognition. So it's actually kidnap, assault, and attempted murder, but they never caught them. So to heal from that, I ended up, I lost consciousness, but I woke up and was barefoot. They had taken my shoes, they had taken my purse, my clothes were ripped open. I'd been through hell, basically, in that car. And had head injury, was bleeding horribly and disfigured in the face area, just beaten horribly. And I managed to walk home. I don't know how, but I did. And the rest of it's in the book, to tell you the truth. I don't want to get into too lengthy of an explanation here, since we have limited time, but I ended up going to group therapy, individual therapy, post-traumatic stress disorder was an issue, just healing. I couldn't work, I couldn't function, I was going through a lot, flashbacks, trauma, all of it. So after many, many attempts at seeing doctors to help me heal, I found one PTSD specialist and trauma specialist, and he was amazing. He was the best thing that could have happened to me. And I started to heal slowly but surely, and did some EMDR, did a lot of CBT, therapy, cognitive behavioral talk therapy, and also group therapy. And I realized while I was at group, there were some things they weren't doing in a way I found cohesive and helpful, such as I thought we should all walk to the parking together in pairs of two. They didn't have any security, and it was at night in downtown LA. So you don't need trauma on top of your trauma when you go to group for trauma. So I would sort of direct and say, why don't you two walk together? You two walk together. I was sort of planning things, and I realized I'm kind of running these meetings at some point, and I realized that was a field I wanted to get into. And I had a couple speaking engagements about what happened to me. And after speaking, I was approached by a school called Sexual Assault Crisis Agency, and they said, people are wondering if you can sit down and they can come and talk to you about what you're speaking about. And would you like to go through our academy and possibly work with us? So I did that work and ended up holding the hands of the rape victims coming for the rape kit, and working with forensic nurses and working with the police, giving part of the reports, things they wouldn't tell the police, they may tell me. And you're just specially trained to deal with special victims. So that's where it began. And then part of my internship is the rape and suicide hotlines. And I recognized pretty quickly that everyone was intoxicated and self-medicating while they're doing their phone calls to the rape and suicide hotlines looking for help. So addiction really overlaps with trauma, as you know. And once that light bulb went off, I realized I needed to go back to school for certifications and licensing with addiction and recovery to overlap with my trauma.
So you can hear how she became the dynamo that she currently is, and she likes to say, "I'm happy to say I'm here to tell about it." So amazing Black woman leader Danielle Delaney And, you know, if you need help, she's primo. She's the one. And, you know, back to Emran Meyer. He's a game changer. He helped define the microbiome. Not only that, but I think he's the head of the microbiome center at UCLA and the Oppenheimer Center. And he basically describes how the gut-brain connection works in his book. So if you feel, you know, attracted to these snippets, look these podcasts up. They're all on Apple, you know, Spotify, whatever you watch podcasts on. They're there, and they're all absolutely amazing. Amazing people, game changers, you know, intriguing. We dive down deep into what makes them tick and how they came about to be the person that they are. So that's why I'm playing you these. I find them to be very interesting. I'm going to play you a few more. My next guest was Glenn Brooks. He is the head of Vibrant Living Network. He is the author of Unscripted Power. He was a very incredible teacher for me because he taught me the value of all things, speaking in an unscripted way. So not necessarily having a little card you're going to read off or a special, you know, menu or schedule, but to let things flow, improv. And I was on a show with him called Vibrant Living, and it was Vibrant Living Radio with a panel of people. I think there were 3 other people besides myself at one time. Often, sometimes more, sometimes less. And it takes great talent to, first of all, you got to be able to play well with others. You know, you have to be able to do good on the playground because you don't want to talk over people or disagree with people. You want to, you know, play off of whatever the other person said and magnify it, make it better. So that's the secret, not only to group speaking, but even speaking by yourself. I remember my big hero. I hope I can get a hold of him someday. I know if I talked to him directly, he'd say yes. Jeff Bland. So if you know Jeff Bland, or Jeff Bland, if you hear this, I want you on my show. You're my ultimate hero, because I would watch him speak, and I'd be so impressed, because he'd just speak. Like he was reading off something, and everybody said he had a photographic memory and all this stuff, and I figured out he's improving. Sure, he knows stuff, and if you know stuff, you can talk. You know, just let it go, let it flow. And he calls himself an intellectual gadfly, but he's just an amazingly knowledgeable man, but he can just talk about anything for a very long time. And I just sit back in amazement, and now I understand how that works, and that's thanks to Glenn Brooks. So I'm just going to play a little Glenn Brooks for you. Hopefully. Where are you, Glenn? Here he is.
Oh, so good seeing you.
I've worked with you for over a year, and this is the first time I've actually laid eyes on you, so this is quite a thrill for me. And it's just fabulous. I can't believe it. You're across the country. You're in, where are you?
Amherst. I'm in Amherst, Massachusetts, doing the show downtown Amherst, Massachusetts.
Nice. I like it when you do shows outside, you know, like when you went to the Love Fest. And
yes, that was remarkable.
So I just want to introduce you, if I may.
Please.
Glenn is... Hi, Glenn.
Hello, so good seeing you.
I've worked with you for over a year, and this is the first time I've actually laid eyes on you. So this is quite a thrill for me. And it's just fabulous. I can't believe it. You're across the country. You're in, where are you?
Amherst. I'm in Amherst, Massachusetts, doing the show downtown Amherst, Massachusetts.
Nice. I like it when you do shows outside, you know, like when you went to the Love Fest. And
yes, that was remarkable.
So I just want to introduce you, if I may.
Please.
Glenn is, hi Glenn.
Hello, so good to see you.
That's Glenn. He's a master
And this is
of improv.
Hi, Glenn.
Somebody's telling me that, Patty, you sent me a request to be on my live video. Can you send it again? Because it's gone by already. Did you have something to add to our program here today? If you're still there, send it again and I'll try to fix it. I don't know if you're there still. Patty? Perhaps she's not there anymore, Matt. Thank you, though. Okay, so the next guest, the next podcast was my dear heart, Olivia Hussey, who was Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. She got a Golden Globe for that. She also got a Donatelli Award for that, and she was in many other movies. Jesus of Nazareth, where she played the mother of Jesus. And she played Mother Teresa, which she always wanted to do. And she got a chance to do that. And she's just a light. She's been a light both on and off stage for her whole life. And she's just an amazing actress. I mean, if there's such a thing
Hi, Glenn.
as an absolutely perfect actress, she would be a good example of that. Hello, Olivia.
Hello, Dr. Randall. How are you?
Hi. I love you so much.
I love you too.
I met Olivia at Howard Wills, our healer, our light in Kauai. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago?
It was at the beginning of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So,
but it seems like we've known each other forever.
I know, and it seems longer ago than that. But...
And thank God, I'm very lucky to have you as my doctor and my friend.
Oh, thank you, and I'm very lucky to have you as my friend.
Oh.
I think of Olivia as full of light, and she shares that light with all of us, and that's why I've chosen her to be on my show. Hello, Olivia. Isn't that lovely? She's so beautiful. You should look for her book, Girl on the Balcony, and look for that website. Look for that podcast I did with her. I'm trying to find you, Patty. I don't see the join thing anymore. Can you send that again? Or Matt, can you send that again? I don't think if I just click you, doesn't work. You need to send the request again, I guess. Okay? Send it again, Patty. But I need to continue the show in the meantime, all right? Are you guys liking this? Give me some hearts or something if you're enjoying this. Thank you. Okay, the next guest on my podcast was, oh my God, the MMA, Mixed Martial Art Boys, Antonio McKee. He's the head of Team Body Shop, and his undefeated son, AJ McKee, who calls himself the Mercenary. He is unbelievable. These guys were funny. It's a really funny podcast. It's very entertaining. You guys should check it out. It's pretty hilarious.
I show up and I do my job, but that's inside the cage. Outside of the cage, I'm also very good hands-on with my arsenal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Mercenary. If I wasn't fighting, I'd probably be a contract killer. So serious military guru.
He's being very modest. He's being very modest. He likes beautiful women. He likes to party. He likes fast cars. He likes to live on the edge. He likes to go real fast.
Adrenaline.
So he's kind of like his dad, right? He's kind of like his dad?
I hate to say this, but yes. Yes, it's my fault.
Must be the blood.
It's in the blood. In the blood.
Contract killer, you know.
In the blood. Oh my God, that was so much fun, that podcast with those guys. They were so unruly. They were like bad boys in school, but it's really fun to listen to. So check that one out. Okay, and then I did a podcast with Rena Friedman Watts. It's called Better Call Daddy, and she made a post on part of my podcast that got over 1.7 views. Wow, huh? I'll play for you. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. But people liked it, I guess.
I have this program called Adding Years and Growing Younger. It's not rocket science, you know? It's eating well, it's exercising, and most of all, it's like your internal attitude and light. And of course, I do take a lot of supplements, and I'm a vegan, and I feel like I'm living my purpose. I know why I'm here, and I'm doing it. I was probably one of the first people to ever do integrative medicine. Before there was even a name for it, I was doing it. I have this program called Adding Years and Growing Younger. It's not rocket science, you know?
So that was the 1.7 thousand views, 1.7K views for that clip. Who knows? Who knows, right? Hey, Matt, can you resend that thing you sent me, because Pat, it's not letting Patty do it again. I mean, I'm happy to play. I don't know where it went. And when I look back, it's not there anymore. I mean, I see you, but I don't see the request, and I don't see Matt's request. So I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, honey. These computer things, they're always whatever. Hi, Richard. Hi, Shunara. How you guys doing? I already talked about you, Richard. You missed it, but you can watch it over. You know, it's recorded. Richard, the guy that started me on podcasts by having me in his podcast, just joined us. Richard Bradstone. Look at his podcast. It's called, oh my God, I forgot what it's called. Ghosts, Sidewalk Ghosts. He went around in the very beginning, and he when there was no COVID, and he would just interview people on the sidewalk. He got some amazing stories from some very unique people, so check that out. And he's still going, but he does it in a different way. Okay, Patty, sorry, next time. Now Matt's having connection issues. Maybe we're not supposed to do that this time, I don't know, but I'm happy to do it with you. Okay, so the next podcast that I had, I was on a podcast called Cultivate Wellness with Brad Swale, and I don't have any samples of it, but you can look it up again on podcast stations. And he did a very good job. Richard summarized me in a very artistic way, which was beautiful. And Brad summarized me in a very, sort of like a documentary way. And it was very good also. I really appreciate that. And Rena summarized me in her own unique, sort of modern way. So, there's a lot of ways to look at things. If you think of a gemstone and all the different refractions on a gemstone, there's many different ways to look at something. So even a person. So I appreciate all that attention from those people. The next person I had on was Howard Wills. Howard Wills is an amazing healer from Kauai. He resides in Kauai. He's a big kahuna of Kauai. He's amazing. He's been my healer, and he's healed many hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. So he's a beautiful guy, and he tells us the story about how he became enlightened. So let's hear that.
And I filled myself with the light of the sun, every part of my body. And it took probably 25, 30 minutes. And then the voice said, let the light expand through your body so you become like a cocoon of light. And then continue breathing the light into the cocoon. So it was very deep breathing in this light of the sun. And close to an hour, and I just fell asleep. And then I lay there and slept for like 3 hours. And the light obviously had its way with me. And when I woke up, I had a lot of understanding that I did not have before. It was like kind of an illumination experience. And it was particularly concerning the human organism, health, life, consciousness, how we function, and how you can, make changes to your reality.
Very nice. So it's interesting because during Sundance, we begin to eat and drink the light of the sun, because we eat nothing, drink nothing for 4 days and 4 nights. And it's a very similar experience. And if you cleanse yourself in the proper way and you've kept yourself, clean, basically, before the Sundance, we cry for a vision and we receive a vision, and it's really to benefit the planet. So it's an amazing ceremony. I was very gifted to be able to participate in that ceremony with my chief and Sundance teacher, Joseph Real, and the tribe that I danced with. It was amazing. And I got my vision for my book in that Sundance. Then I did 4 Sundances where you don't eat or drink for 4 days and 4 nights. Beautiful experience. And it helps regenerate the planet. So that's kind of cool too. And the natives have been doing it. It's ancient. It's an ancient ceremony, and the natives have been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. So my next podcast, speaking of indigenous experiences, is with Connie Grounds, the jungle medicine woman. And I actually went to the Amazon jungles of Peru with Connie. I met her in Washington at a conference, and I heard her speak, and I fell in love with her, and through her I fell in love with the Amazon jungles of Peru, and I had to go. I think I signed up that day to go, and it was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I ended up going back again, and I met the shaman Don Antonio Moreno, and we built a garden for biosustainability of the Amazon rainforest herbs in the old growth forest to help support the tribes people there, but also for perpetuity. And it was an amazing and very, I felt very grateful to be able to participate in something like that, because it was giving back. I have never seen diversity like I saw in the Amazon jungles of Peru. I'm sure that's where life began. It was like the primordial soup of where we all came from. There was every kind of insect, every kind of snake, every kind of frog. Oh my God, the frogs are so amazing. After it rains, and when it rains in the Amazon, I mean, it's like nothing you've ever experienced. Just when you think it can't possibly rain any harder. I mean, these aren't even drops. It's like the whole sky opens and the water pours out. It's just, you know, it's almost frightening because you don't know what's going to happen. No wonder everybody's on stilts there, but if you were out out of the stilts and down on you'd wash away. You would definitely wash away. And after the rain comes this cacophony of an orchestra of frogs. Every tone, every deep tones, ribbit, high tones. There was this one frog that made a laughing sound, like a woman. She ha 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 ha, and I'd be like, "Who's laughing?" And it's like nobody was laughing. It was this frog, and it was so beautiful. I'm missing it right now as I talk. So let's hear a little bit from Connie, who is truly a jungle medicine woman. She's actually she's a pharmacist. She's a doctor of pharmacology. She's a doctor of integrative medicine. And when she went to the Amazon, it changed her life.
And as I got closer to this hut, Melanie, I could feel something. Something was emanating from that hut, and I became quiet and respectful. I said, whatever is going on there is very powerful. I don't know what it is, but you better be respectful or it's going to come with its scorpion tail and do a lesson. So I became very quiet, very respectful, and I said, there is some power in there. What is this? Went inside the jungle hut, sat on a tree stump, and there was a translator there, of course. And the shaman's blowing his tobacco smoke and singing his wonderful enchanted healing songs. And after about 5-8 minutes or so, he stopped the healing. And he said to the translator, tell Connie she's got a block in her neck.
Well, that block ended up to be thyroid cancer. And she had it treated. And it drew her back to the Amazon jungles of Peru to work with Don Antonio for a couple of decades. So she's written a couple of books. One is Jungle Medicine, From Medicine to Magic. And the other one is Amazon Speaks. And she's working on another one now. So just go on Amazon.com and look up Connie Grauds, ConnieGrauds, and you'll find her books. She's an amazing gal, and I just love her to pieces. And we're going to, once this COVID thing clears, we're going to be doing another trip to the Amazon. So write it down, keep it in mind. We're going back. The next person that I had on my podcast was Bruce Parker, who's a local legend. He's a chiropractor. He's a healer. He's healer to the stars, but he will never admit that or say that. But I have worked with him for 20 or 30 years, and I see who goes in and out of his office. So anyway, when we share patients, but you know, we're not supposed to tell. And he is amazing at that. He doesn't ever tell anything. But, you know, if you are lucky enough to be under his hands or his care, you're going to understand what I'm saying when I say he's a real healer. Sometimes you wonder when he has on his laser goggles and his waving his wand around and has his electromagnetic thing that goes click, 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 and all these things, and his vibrator. And yet when he adds his hands in, there's the magic. So it's a combination of medicines, just like I enjoy and feel that's where the power is. And he's a good example of that. So let me play a little clip from Bruce Parker. He's the best kept secret in Malibu. And if you're ever here and you need a healing, got a sore back or something, I recommend that you look him up.
Oh, hi there, Dr. Randall.
How are you?
Oh, really good. Looking forward to this chat.
You're always really good. That's what I love about you.
Oh, thanks.
And you spread it to other people. As a matter of fact, I think you're one of Malibu's best kept secrets, because you're a profound healer, and you're actually known as the healer of Malibu. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, I've heard. Well, because you're so modest. First of all, he's known as the doctor of the stars, but you'd never hear it from him because he's so ethical and modest. But you would never hear him say anything like that. But he treats lots of stars, lots of VIPs. I've known him for more than 25 years, maybe 30 years. Hi, Bruce.
That's Bruce. Anyway, he's a fabulous guy. If you need a healing, look him up. He's chiroparker.com, or if you want to email him or something like that. So our last podcast that we recorded on Monday, actually I recorded 2, but I only edited 1, was with Blue Nest Beef Regenerative Farmers. I had Todd Churchill and Russ Consor. And what's really interesting about that is we're just in the same issue of sustainability today. And then because Bob Yaling, who is the editor of Sustainability Today, hooked me up with them, they came on my show. So it was a really good show. You should listen about it because it really tells you that there is a form of beef that can be healthy for you. You know, I'm always like anti-industrial meat, but this is not industrial meat. The way that they farm these animals is by moving them from place to place. And they let them, say, be in 1 hectare of land for a period of time until they eat the grass only halfway down. Turns out most of the nutrients are in the very top of the grass. So then when they move them, you've heard me say this before, if you follow me, remember the buffalo. It's how the buffalo roam. So their manure, their pee is worked into the land with their hooves, and this is a carbon fixing system. So it takes carbon out of the air, puts it back in the ground. You know, and it takes nitrogen, which out of the air, and puts it back in the ground. This is the only system that actually regenerates the earth and also gives a product that's actually good for us. A meat that's anti-inflammatory instead of inflammatory. So it's amazing. I'm going to play you a little clip. But this one is Todd Churchill. He's the rancher.
And I just constantly, in my mind, refer back to Maya Angelou's quote. Do as best as you can. And when you know better, do better.
Right.
We don't change anybody by starting the conversation by saying, you're screwing up.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it wrong. We change behavior when we say, I see you working really hard, and I see you doing the best that you can. Would you be interested in learning about some of the things, the way that I do something similar? I raise cattle too. And maybe we can compare notes.
Beautiful.
It's just a more compassionate, and it's a more productive way of changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single coal plant in the United States that shut down because people didn't like them anymore. They shut down because renewable energy and other forms of energy made them not cost competitive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Feedlots will cease to exist when grass-fed beef, we can produce grass-fed beef cheaper than a feedlot. And all we need to do, we have everything we need. We have the technology, we have the cattle genetics, we have the understanding about grasses. The only thing we need is scale. And it's exactly the same spot that Russ tells me anyway, that solar energy was in 30 years ago. The technology existed. Now, we'll continue to refine our management practices and our technology, just like solar panels have been refined. But there will come a point in time when I can produce a pound of grass-fed beef cheaper than a feedlot can produce it. That is inevitable, because I am working with nature instead of against nature. And when that happens, the whole game changes.
Yeah, so we're talking about having game changers on Soul Stories. So these guys are amazing. I mean, I love this guy's humble attitude. He is not a naysayer of other types of raising food. He's just pro his type. And what's really amazing is the phytochemicals that are in these grass-fed beef, that are grass-fed this way, only the tips of the grass, only for a very short period of time, and then moved to another spot, is so nutritious and so full of phytochemicals and omega-3s itself, because it's natural as the buffalo roam, as they say. And it was so interesting to me because that's what they say too, what I've been saying. So it was nice to meet them. They're amazing guys. They're nice people. And the other guy that was on, Russ Consor, he was with Shell for 30 years. And then he said he spent half his life taking carbon out of the earth, and now his other half he's spending putting it back. So that's a very cool thing and a very cool goal. And they're serious. They're serious planetary citizens, and they're doing it. They're doing it. Look it up online, bluenestbeef.com. And they're only doing farm to table. They're not in the stores yet because they want to keep it, cheaper that way. They don't want a middleman. And I think that makes sense to me. We want to make sure. The other thing that's really unique about them is their Audubon Society has approved them, and that it's not an official recognition, but they only approve people that are doing farming in a way that did you know that the plains birds, the ground nesters, over 50% of them have been driven into extinction because of the way people farm. So that's not good, and this type of farming is bringing them back. So when you hear the birds tweeting and them flying around, you might wonder, are we where, someone's doing the regenerative farming, which restores the planet to its original state. We need more and more of that. And some people say, and if you watch certain shows on TV, and they're very well intended, they say that we don't have enough land. Well, in fact, they've thought of that, imagine that. And it turns out that if they only let them eat the tips of this grass, it becomes 4 times more nutritious and more robust. So they can grow 4 times more cattle on the same piece of land than they could before. So, in fact, there is enough land. It's just a matter of organization and getting people, like when organic food first came, I would tell people, you have to buy organic food. It's for your health. It's for the health of the planet. They say, talk to Randall. I can't afford organic food. And I'd say, you can't afford not to. So vote with your dollar. And now we have organic food at Costco. You know, I see organic food everywhere. So it's fabulous. We're winning in that arena. Let's make it the same with this meat, because the meat industry is creating most of the carbon that goes into air through growing the grain and tilling the soil and releasing the carbon into the atmosphere. This is a no-till situation. It's grass. It's grass. And if they do grow things, they use these very razor-sharp discs just to drop the seed in, and they grow it entirely differently. It just fixes the carbon into the soil and doesn't let it out. So look for that. And oh my God, that went by fast. Let me just play you one more little thing, if you could have patience with me. I want to thank the people that have helped me with this podcast.
This is Dr. Gail Randall from Soul Stories, and author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. I want to thank Saltology, our sponsor, at bathsalt.com, which fits perfectly into my medicine bag as it, like me, calls upon the ancient wisdom and modern technology to heal, especially with the stresses and ills of our modern times. The Bokak brand uses organic salts combined with organic essential oils sourced from ancient Egypt to provide a perfect remedy for your bathing ritual and healing from modern stresses. The Relief RX brand is a unique one-of-a-kind healing salt that uses organic CBD, treated with a unique emulsification process to create nanoparticles which easily enter the skin to most effectively heal and relieve aching muscles and joints. Whether from chronic inflammation or just a rough workout, this is the perfect healing bath, especially when you add the organic essential oils of neroli, lavender, eucalyptus, or grapefruit. Your body, mind, and soul will be lifted and soothed like never before. Go now to bathsalt.com. I also want to give special thanks to Larry Antonino and Agora Borealis Recording Studio for music and score, and also to closetotheearth.com for IT and computer assistance.
Those are my peeps. I also want to thank Rhonda and Tony from my office. We're an all-woman run health facility, and we can meet your every need. Call us. I'm doing also right now during COVID, although hopefully it's getting a little better, I'm doing a lot of telemedicine, and I'm doing phone consultations. Some people choose to come in. We have very good protocol in our office, and we're all women in there, and we're fabulous, and we'd love to see you and help you with your every need. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. And I hope that was entertaining for you. Look up my podcast, Soul Stories, on your podcast station. I just wanted to give you a little snippet of all the ones we made so far, in case you had a special interest in any of them. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.